What's up, guys? This is Joe Riga, and you're about to listen to episode number 3 of the Third Floor Chronicles. Tonight's special guest was Mr. Greg Fitzsimmons. This was recorded Friday, March 26th at the Tampa Improv, in between the first and the second shows. Check it out. Greg, when did you make the change from being a funny guy to being an open micer?
I was in college, and it was probably 4 months into college, and there was a comedy club practically on campus in Boston. And Boston had a great comedy community, and I grew up in New York going to all the comedy clubs, the Comic Strip and the Cellar and the Improv, and I pretty much wanted to be a comedian. I wouldn't even say wanted to be a comedian. I was just drawn to comedy from being a kid. And then when I got to college, I think I was getting laid enough to get the confidence to try it.
Cool. When you started doing open mics, how many were you hitting on a weekly basis when you first started?
It depends. At first it was a lot of signing up and waiting and then trying to, get stage time. I was trying 7 nights a week.
Got it.
And then once I got to the point where I could get spots, I would go anywhere. I'd get in my car and I'd drive to Providence one night. I'd go to Hartford one night. I'd go to Maine one night. Literally, I would drive for free. Me, Joe Rogan, Bill Burr, we all kind of came up at the same time, and we were hungry, So we would do, when we got good enough, I would go do 2 or 3 sets a night, and then when I moved to New York, I was doing 6, 7 sets a night, every night.
When you were doing those open mics, did you know what it took, or were you just doing what you felt you needed to be done?
It wasn't about what it took. It was about what I wanted to give to it. I felt like it was an amazing gift that there were people that would sit in a room and listen, and that I had such respect for the stage. It was this magic place that I'd watched my whole life, and the fact that I could get up and do what these people had done. The money didn't mean anything. The career didn't mean anything. It was just, I want to do that as much as I can do that. I want to be as good at that as I can be.
How quickly did you realize that you could do this? Like, it was a career option for you?
I don't think I used the word career for probably 5 or 6 years. It was just competitive with other people, trying to beat them out, being driven for a lot of different reasons, and not having anything in my life that could compare to the feeling of it. So I don't know. The word career is just not a part of my vocabulary then.
How long did you do comedy before you started featuring?
Well, it depends. I would go feature probably maybe a year and a half in. I was year and a half to 2 years I was featuring, but there's A, B, and C rooms. So, I'd go feature a C room after a year and a half, which just meant you could do 20 minutes. And then, featuring A rooms didn't happen until longer. But I kind of went from being a C room feature to being a B room headliner, because I got some big breaks kind of. About 7 years in, I got some pretty big breaks, so I was able to bypass some stuff, just I think from being a New York comic and getting some exposure on Letterman and things like that.
Well, when did you make your first Letterman appearance? As far as
1996.
So how long were you doing comedy?
7 years.
Nice. Do you remember the first time you worked with someone, maybe feature host, that was maybe an idol or someone you looked up to?
Well, the guys in Boston who you probably never heard of, guys like Don Gavin and Kenny Rogerson and Steve Sweeney. They were guys that to this day I consider the best comics I've ever seen. They're amazing, and they don't leave Boston because they don't have to.
Those Boston crowds are brutal out here too.
Well, they're demanding and they're rowdy, but I like that. I still like that. I don't like well-behaved crowds.
Is that where you got well, or that's where you got good with the crowd work?
Yeah, you had to. And New York, you had to even more. I think in Boston, there wasn't a lot of crowd work. It was more of like saloon comedy. You had to match their energy, and you had to have the confidence to not blink and do your time. And then New York taught me how to do crowd work, because those were smaller crowds. And
is crowd work something you enjoy, or something you feel as a comic you just have to be good at?
I love it. I love talking to people. I don't like to think of stand-up as this one-way thing where I just stand there and I was making a joke about it tonight, about how I stand here and talk for an hour and you shut up and I'm the king. And the truth is, I really welcome people yelling shit out. Not like stupid shit, But like when they really have something funny to say and they say it, or I'm just riffing with them and they say something funny, like I love that. Nothing makes the show better than that. And the audience feels really like you're not a substitute teacher. Like you're just somebody who's hanging with them, you know?
So you're not reading a script or anything.
No, and to me it makes me think of jokes. It gets my juices flowing. It gets me scared, so it makes me say funnier stuff.
Well, as an example for the listeners, at a Tonight Show, how much of that you think was improv versus, stuff that you already planned?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what I just said. I just go up there and it's a drunken knife fight in the alley. Whoever's coming at me, I tackle that, and then I think of a thought that I had today and I try to make it a joke, and then I take a joke that I maybe been doing this week and I try to push it further than I had before and see if there's anything more. And then then I did some really old shit tonight too, because I was just sort of not. That's why I got angry at myself when I got off. I was just, oh God, I did a couple really old ones about being Irish, and I just got mad at myself because I wasn't focused tonight. I was just up there, and I have so much I want to say sometimes, and then I don't keep track, and I'm not like working towards something, and that's when I get mad at myself. I'm not getting my new shit out there, and all of a sudden I lose direction, and I don't know. It was
on
a
a night
bad
like
show.
tonight where you have a second show and you feel that way about the first show, does it make you want to do the second show more?
Oh yeah, definitely. It makes me. I know I'm gonna do really well in the next show, and it wasn't that I didn't do well. Like the crowd liked it, but it's that's an early show on a weekend. They should like it. I mean, that shouldn't be hard. It's just more of like, can I do the best that I can do? And when I don't, I get kind of pissed off.
When did you make the transition into TV writing and sitcom writing and stuff like that?
I had a short-lived job. Basically, before I did Letterman, I was writing on Politically Incorrect for Bill Maher in New York, and then I had all this stuff kind of happen, so I left. And then I didn't write for another, 4 years or so. I was just doing road work, and then I had a kid, and my son was 1, and I was missing a lot of the stuff. So I called my friend Louis C.K., who was writing on Cedric the Entertainer Presents. I go, you got to get me a writing job, man. I got to get off the road. I'm dying. And he got me a meeting with Cedric, and I got hired, and then I've worked on TV ever since. I mean, I work every year, on some show I work enough. I get my health benefits, make some dough, and then I get sick of it, and then I go do stand-up.
Well, right now you're working on that Jamie Foxx show, correct?
No, I just finished.
Oh, okay. Cool.
They brought me in, and I kind of do like script doctor work and punch up so I can come in. The show was already up for a few months, and they were kind of having problems, and then they brought me in to try to help along, and then the show ended. So it's 2 months of heavy lifting, and then I'm done, which is
when
perfect.
you're brought in to help, does that put a lot of pressure on you walking into something that's kind of already established and almost done? How do you feel walking
I like
into
the
that?
challenge of that, because I feel like sometimes people get in a rut, and all the writers have, like there's a lot of politics on TV shows, and then when somebody new comes in, sometimes because they don't have any of the backstory, they can just kind of come in and go, hey guys, what are we doing? Let's, and so I was kind of running the room. I'd get everybody in the room. A couple people got fired soon after I arrived.
So when you walk in, are the other writers kind of like, oh, here's this guy? Or
This show I was the only white guy. So we got 11 black guys, and all of a sudden the white guy gets brought in, and they're all like, two white guys actually. It was a guy named Hugh Fink, who was the head writer on SNL for years, and so he and I got brought in, so they were like, the 2 white guys are coming in. And then it just wasn't like that at all, I mean, we all got along great. I made some good friends, and I think everyone respected each other, and I think we got a lot of work done.
At all the TV shows you worked on, which was the most fun to work on?
Well, I guess they're fun in different ways, but I wrote on Louis' show, Lucky Louie, and that was kind of perfect because it was so much about having young kids and the strain it puts on your marriage, and how you're a pervert living in this world and trying to make both worlds, so I really felt like, God, if this thing could stay on, it was just, I would come in and we would just tell stories from our lives, and they'd be episodes. And then, I worked on The Man Show, which was a totally different beast. That was just a bunch of guys making fart jokes and laughing.
How'd you get involved in that?
The Man Show?
Yeah.
Same thing. My manager called me up and they said they want you to come in 3 days a week and punch up. And so...
do you have to, like, as a writer coming into a show, do they make you make, like, a spec script or anything just to kind of prove how funny you are?
It depends. I've never written a spec script before. I've always just gotten hired. As a stand-up, I think sometimes you can just get brought in, and then if you get on a show, then that can lead to getting on another show. But you have to, you have to do well when you get there.
What do you prefer more at this point, writing or stand-up?
It's a balance. It's like really nice that I can stay at home more and be around my kids, and then I really get depressed. The stand-up really pulls me out of it. I feel like I need it. It's like built in so many years of doing it.
They kind of both go hand in hand.
Yeah, if I can mix them, then that's what I try to do. But I'd like to spend more time home.
If you took one away, do you think you can do the other one well?
Yeah, I could do stand-up still, but I couldn't just write.
How'd the book get? How'd that start? How'd that even happen?
I got approached by an agent who said, I think I can sell a book by you because, I've got certain platforms. Like at the time I was on VH1 every week, and then the Howard Stern connection, and just the typical stand-up. You've got a little bit of a name, and so he said, do you have anything? And I had this idea, and he said I could sell that. So I took a year, and I wrote an 80-page outline. It was pretty detailed, and then we sent it out to all the publishing companies, and we had 4 offers. So there was an auction. It was like a bidding war, and we sold it to Simon & Schuster. And then once we sold it, I had 1 year to write it, and it was probably the hardest year of my life. It was probably like definitely the thing that I followed through on more than anything in my life besides kids. I mean, I had to do it. There was no way around it. I've quit on so many things in my life, and this was one I knew I couldn't. I had to do it.
Well, with something that you're new as far as writing a book, do they give you like someone to kind of walk you through the process or help?
In theory, that's what should happen. But the publishing industry right now has been pared down by 75% in the last 5 years. And they've all got a pile of manuscripts on their desks, and the publicists all have twice as many books to promote. And the truth is, I think it was difficult to get a lot of real... I don't know what the word is. I don't want to overspeak about how things happen, but it was, I guess I could have used more support.
Is it something you think you're going to do in the future?
No. Did it.
How is the book doing merchandise? As a comic, it always helps to have more merchandise. How does the book help on the road for you?
Yeah, I don't sell it on the road because it would just be too much of a pain in the ass to bring it out.
Got it.
What I'm stupid is I should have 4x6 things to hand out to make, I should be promoting my podcast and my website and my book, and I should have it all on a flyer that I hand out to people, but there's only so many things I can do.
Well, as a comic, is that something, a lot of comics don't really like that aspect of stand-up, the merchandise. No. You don't like that?
No, I don't like it at all. I brought CDs, and I was just like I'm standing at the door with fucking CDs. Then every moron walking out huddles around the table and around me, and they want to talk to me about what coffee shop I go to in L.A. Then they want to take a picture with their wife's cell phone, and they don't know how to work it. So it takes them 5 minutes. They got their arm around me. They're sweating. And the picture is, you know what the picture is? It's me watching money walk out the door. And I don't know what to do about it. You don't want to be rude, but it's like, hey, open your fucking eyes. I'm standing. I don't want to sell these CDs. You think I want to sell these fucking CDs? They're not even good. They're bad CDs. I don't feel good about this. And now I can't even sell them. I'm gonna put CDs in my fucking suitcase and bring them home because a bunch of overweight people wanted to put me in a headlock while their wife figured out a fucking Nokia phone from 1987. You think I enjoy that?
Good answer, by the way.
Thank you. You got 1 minute left.
Perfect. The podcast, what kind of an impact has a podcast made on your crowds coming in to see you?
It's great. They come in, but they know almost too much about me, because I'm very personal on it, and it's kind of weird when people ask, like that woman. That's what she was asking about coffee shop. She's like, which coffee shop? Because you talked about it on your podcast, which coffee shop? And I'm just like, why do you know that? Oh, yeah, I said it. Yeah, you should know it because you said it. So it's a weird line, but it definitely brings in more people. And, it's a good outlet. So I'm kind of hoping that it turns into something that's daily and, you can make more money from.
And while we're talking about the podcast, tell us what's going on with the whole Stitcher situation at this point.
Well, Stitcher is an aggregator site that basically copies and pastes my show onto their site, which is very different than somebody linking you, because then when I have advertising, which is most of my shows, I get paid per download. Now, I don't get any of those counted. So Stitcher sent me the numbers. I had 30,000 people download off their site last month. So I didn't get paid on any of those. They did, because they have advertising. So not only are they taking my advertising revenue away, they're making money on my hard work without sharing it with me. And then also it's not getting counted on iTunes, because iTunes ranks you by your downloads. It's not going to that either. So it's wrong. It may not be illegal. I don't know. I've never talked to a lawyer about it. I know that the spirit of what I'm doing is I'm putting something out there that I put a lot of work into. And the spirit of what they're doing is collecting material so that they can sell ads with it combined.
Your advertisers don't know that you have 30,000 listeners on Stitcher, right?
No,
basically?
no. Because if it goes through my RSS feed on my website or through iTunes, it counts. Any of these third-party sites, and I don't know how the other ones work. I know this particular one cuts it out, records it, puts it on their site, and so it downloads through their feed. And it's bullshit. And a bunch of comics are now pulling their stuff off of it.
When did you figure this out?
I spoke to my producer, and I said, how does this work? Because I started hearing about people talking about Stitcher, and I go, how does this Stitcher thing work? And the more I explained it, I go, why didn't you tell me about this before? Why you're my producer. Like, why are you not telling me this is happening? So I heard about it. I made 7 phone calls, and I think I took a big chunk out of their business in a week.
That's good.
And it'll continue. It'll continue unless they do what I expect them to do, which is a couple other things. They took it down, but they need some damage. They need to repair some damage, and if they don't...
So is that something that's possible that you guys can maybe fix the situation both?
It's up to them.
Awesome.
If they don't, there's going to be more podcasts being made aware of how they do business, and they're going to lose more podcasts.
So tell the listeners, as of today, what's the best way to listen to your podcast?
Either go to iTunes and look up FitzDog Radio and subscribe, or go to fitzdog.com and listen to it there. But please listen. I appreciate people listening. And if you know anybody who's getting it off Stitcher, just tell them that there's better ways of doing it. You know, it's not a lot of extra effort considering what the person who's giving you the content has done for you.
I think that's not much
free.
to ask.
Yeah.
Not much to ask. Well, thank you, Greg. I appreciate
All right,
your
thanks,
time.
man. I really appreciate it. All right.
Well, there you go, folks. Episode number 3 is in the books. And if you like what you heard from Greg, check him out online. GregFitzsimmons.com. You can check him out on Twitter at Greg Fitz Show. And you know he's got the book on Amazon, so just go get it. Dear Miss Fitzsimmons. Until next time, my name is Joe Riga.